Welcome everybody, and thanks for coming to this year's 5G Summit. This is one of my favorite events. Together, we get to hear directly from the leaders that are innovating and investing in our future, our wireless future. And we already see the remarkable results of their work every day. The best part for me is when you visit with them, you realize we're only scratching the surface of what is possible. 5G home broadband is our best example of just how significant the capabilities we have unlocked are. 5G home is helping to close the digital divide in our country. It is also creating real competition by providing a much-needed alternative to cable, a choice that is both compelling and powerful. Today we will hear about the next breakthroughs, how 5G is providing business with new tools that translate directly to our global competitiveness. All of this requires capacity, more and more each month. Last year, we saw nearly 40% growth on mobile networks. That is how much my home state of Texas has grown in the last 20 years. As you know, everyone wants to move to Texas, and every time I go home, I see construction cranes everywhere. Imagine the roads, the schools, and the bridges that type of growth has required over the 20 years. Remarkably, the wireless industry has to do that each and every year. But the hard truth is that this year's growth will have to be met without the benefit of new spectrum. That is unsustainable. Spectrum is the lifeblood. But we have no blueprint for when we will get more in the United States. By 2027, we know we will need at least 400 more megahertz, hundreds more before the end of the decade. This inaction stands in stark contrast to what we see around the world. Since last year, we've seen other nations move forward, auctioning over 4,600 megahertz of mid-band spectrum. Still others, like China, simply assign huge blocks of spectrum to drive growth. By 2027, China alone will have up to 4 times more mid-band than we will have. As a result, we are falling farther behind globally when it comes to spectrum access. Here too, we can put a number on it. 518 is our expected global mid-band deficit in 2027. To succeed, we need to lead in innovation across licensed and unlicensed spectrum. We must lead in both to achieve our collective goals. The stark reality, however, is our national approach is severely imbalanced. How imbalanced? The US has 300% more unlicensed spectrum than licensed today. We have the policymakers with us who can reverse these trends and fix these numbers. To do so, we must restore auction authority. And just as we have every other time, a multi-year congressional extension has to include a pipeline of future auctions. The administration has now identified the lower 3 gigahertz and 7-8 gigahertz as the next prime targets. The studies of these bands have to start immediately and consider all options. We need a proactive vision as a nation, a vision that is fact-based and grounded in technical truths. We need the government and commercial sectors to have the spectrum they need. We can and should push forward on the moonshot that is dynamic sharing. Like any moonshot, it is years away and will require significant innovation. But we can't wait. We must move forward with the solutions we have today to meet this immediate and pressing need. It is time to act, and that means full power, licensed spectrum. The numbers bear repeating. 400, the amount of spectrum we need to meet demand by 2027. 518, the amount of spectrum we need to close our global deficit with rivals. 1460, the amount of spectrum we need to have a balance between licensed and unlicensed midband. These are our targets. This is our assignment. Accenture found $200 billion in benefits if we lead and harmonize on global spectrum. 4.5 million new jobs are within reach if we get this right. So too is our global leadership in the industries that will define tomorrow. This is key for our national and economic security. We have the people here today that will make this happen, both in government and industry.